Good morning. It is 9:28 of 24, and I am here with a video of what I eat in a day on my keto journey. I was up until after 3 o'clock last night, and I am really, really tired this morning. It's about 9:30. I woke up at, I think it was 8, maybe just a little after, and just kind of laid in bed and tried to go back to sleep, but it didn't work. So I am now having my coffee. I'm not really hungry. I just kind of like need some energy, so I need some coffee. I had in my milk container 3/4 of a cup of milk left, and I normally use half a cup in my coffee. So I just added all of it to my coffee, and then I added some extra protein powder. So I'm using 2 servings of protein powder instead of just one, which is fine. I will often plan out my day the day before of what I'm going to eat, just so I have a good idea of what I'm going to have, and making sure that everything is balanced rather than trying to kind of like balance it in the moment, although my plans often change. So anyway, when I did my plan yesterday of what I was going to eat today, I was going to need to add some protein powder to like some yogurt or something anyway. So this is, great that I'll just add it to my coffee since I've got a little more milk in there. And because I was up so late, my day is probably going to look pretty wonky, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. It is about 3 o'clock. I ate Chick-fil-A on my way home from my son's football game around 1. And I kind of thought that would like satiate me for a while, but it's kind of not. And so I don't want to get so hungry that what I end up doing is just like eating a ton of food. So even though it's only been a couple of hours since I ate, I'm going to eat again. I am going to make a garlic chicken. This is a recipe that I made pre-keto. And so I'm going to try it in keto, which means it calls for breadcrumbs. So I'm going to use some pork rinds as my breadcrumbs. And we'll just kind of see how it turns out. All right, so in my one bowl, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of my crushed pork rinds. There we go. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of my grated Parmesan cheese. 1 and 2. And then I'll just kind of mix those together a bit. This is going to be what I'm going to use for my for the breading for this chicken. Got some like kind of bigger pieces of pork rind. I need to get them crushed up a little bit more. I just kind of took the bag and like crushed it. So I do have a few pieces here that are a little bigger. They're hard to crush when they're that tiny. I guess they're not tiny, but small. I want them to be tiny. All right. We'll just make do with what we've got. Okay. And then in another bowl, I need a teaspoon of crushed garlic. So that's what I've got here. And then I need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So usually I cook this in my oven. I would bake it in my oven, but that's when I'm making it for more than just me. So since I'm only making it for me, I'm just going to cook it in my air fryer. So I need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix that up a little. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my microwave and just warm it up for maybe like 15 seconds. I just want to heat that oil enough to help bring out some of the sweetness from my garlic so it's not so astringent. But I don't want to cook it. That would not taste very good. So I don't want to do it for very long. Well, I only did it for a second. I need it to be longer than 1 second. There we go. All right, so then while that's happening, I'm gonna go ahead and prepare my chicken breast. So I have here, this is 1.5 pounds of chicken breast. I'm not gonna use 1.5 pounds because I'm just not gonna eat it. I'll probably make this again for myself here in a couple of days, or like do something else with the rest of the chicken. My plan is to use about 8 ounces, which once I kind of get it trimmed and everything, should be, there we go, a little more, or a little less than half. But I'm going to get it trimmed up pretty good here. Get rid of these big sections of fat. Really just because I don't like them, not because I'm like, oh, I don't want that fat on there. I don't like it. Usually I'll use chicken breasts that I buy in the freezer section of my grocer, and they're already trimmed for me, which is nice, but they're also in like thin breasts, so they're kind of like cut in half um, horizontally, so kind of cut in half this way, so you'd have two big flat pieces. And I like that. But I had these and I wanted to use them up, so I'm going to use these today. All right, and then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to cut it into some tenders. This might be too much chicken. I might not be able to eat all this. Okay. And then I think I'm going to cut these long ones in half because they're just a bit big. All right. And then grab my oil, which I can smell it. I can smell that sweetness of my garlic. And I did spray my pan this time with nonstick spray. Okay, so then I just dip my chicken in my oil, and then I dip it in my breadcrumbs. And I'll just do this with all of my chicken and then get that chicken into my pan. Okay, and then once I've got that taken care of, I'm just going to take the rest of my oil and kind of just pour it over the top. I want to kind of make sure I'm getting that garlic in there because it gives us a lot of flavor. All right, and then I'm going to cook this in my air fryer at 375, probably for about 20 minutes is my guess how long it's going to take, but I'll check it and see. It didn't take all that long for my chicken to get cooked through, probably because I had them in smaller pieces. So it was about 12 minutes. And it looks delicious. Now I do need to sprinkle this with some salt because I need more salt in my day anyway. And I want to do it right away because that oil is going to start to soak in, and I want it to soak the salt in with it. So I'm going to try to use, anyway, a 1/4 teaspoon. I don't want it to taste bad, so I don't want to add too much. All right. I'm going to just let these rest for about a minute, and then I'll cut into them. They are cooked through, so that's good. And I'm just going to basically taste test, compare them to what I know them as before keto. That is really good. That tastes pretty much exactly the same as how I would have made it before keto. Um, there's just a little bit of an aftertaste from the pork rinds that you can kind of taste in there. But it's not a bad flavor. It's just a little different. But like as I'm eating it, it's the same as if I had just used regular breadcrumbs for this dish. So I'm super excited that this one worked out, and I'll be back later. I didn't have the day that I had planned today, so my protein is over by quite a bit of what I my goal is, which is just fine. I don't have any issues with that. But it's kind of like part of being in this keto journey and where you kind of have these plans and then plans change and then, you kind of have to change everything up. So anyway, my protein today was around 160. Fantastic. My net carbs is 20. My fat is 61. So that's also pretty close to my goal. It is a little under. I'm not worried about it because I have had more fat over the last couple of days. And so it's going to be just fine. And then my sodium is 3,700, which is right in the range that I want it to be too. So I had a pretty good day today. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow.